What is up, everybody? It is a great day to draft for $1 million over in these FFPC streets. It is Big Gorilla season. It's the RotoWire gang, Ian Hart, Theo Greminger hanging out. First draft together, Theo. I'm pumped, man. Let's win some money.
Yeah, and Ian, if people want to jump in the FFPC streets, is there like an amazing code that's easy to remember?
Yeah, it's Ian, right? That seems simple enough. So yeah, what's actually pretty cool, guys. Big Gorilla is going to cost you a little bit more, but baby gorillas are only $35, and this code will actually get you $20 off. So if you want a chance to win $100,000, you can use code Ian and basically just play, $10 for a fun tournament. So yeah, definitely invite you guys to do that. Again, though, today, Theo and I in these big streets, picking out of the 110. Theo, if people have not been the FFPC streets before, maybe let them know some of the base rules that differentiate it from more traditional home leagues.
Yeah, I mean, I think the number one thing you'll see if you're used to drafting in traditional PPR is it's the tight end premium. So it's 1.5 points for a tight end reception. So like Brock Bowers will go in the first round. Trey McBride and Colston Loveland will be gone by probably the 208, 210. And then a bunch of tight ends that you might expect to go in like round 6 probably go a little bit higher. Tyler Warren's going to go higher. And then you have 2 starting wide receivers, 2 starting running backs. There are 2 flexes in this one, so you can build your team out a number of different ways. And we're drafting from the 110 today. Ian, that's like your favorite place to be on the board right now.
It is nice. I was getting a little cocky in my head thinking Mr. Brock Bowers could fall to us, but not today, Satan. That's all right, though, man. We're going to have plenty of opportunities to scoop up some tight ends later. I believe you threw one out there. He went 101 in one of these not that long ago.
Bowers went at the 101. Yeah, this has been pretty chalky. We're one pick away here. The only thing, like Chase usually goes ahead of Nakua. That's really the only like unchalky thing about this draft. So I'm open minded to who you want to go with here. Genty, James Cook. You want to go wide receiver, or I think some of the other running backs you like, Ian, will be there at the 203.
That's kind of what I'm thinking. How about get some Jay Jettas here?
I'm down with going wide receiver here, and then I think we'll have a running back we like at the 203. So I'm Jefferson. I took Jefferson yesterday at the 112 in another draft. I think he's bouncing back in a big way.
Let's go Justin freaking Jefferson starting off. As Theo did mention, it's only 2 wide receivers here, all right? I know that's one thing that I regularly have to really be aware of. When we're in all these best ball streets throughout the summer and you are starting 3, tends to be more of a run early. We don't necessarily need to be going down that road over here, though. So James Cook after that. Theo, this is like the great wall of RBs. That's why I've been calling it this round 1, round 2 turn. A lot of guys, and I feel like it's going to be really important to try to pick the right ones. I've had Saquon kind of at the top of this list. I got Genty right there too. Do you have kind of a preference between those 2?
I like Genty more than Saquon this year. I just going being kind of an ageist here, and also it's the pass catching upside for Genty. But I think I'm open minded to multiple running backs here at the 203. I think Kenneth Walker. It sounds like they're going to use him in this pass catching role. He's exciting. I took Omarion Hampton yesterday. I think he could score a ton of touchdowns. So. I'm open-minded here, Ian, and I'll draft a bunch of these, so it's sort of like I can go with little Ian exposure here. I know who you want to take at the 203 here. I will throw out Trey. I was going to say Trey McBride. He went. Okay, so open-minded to multiple running backs here. I think that Hampton's interesting, Chase Brown's interesting, Saquon's interesting, and then Kenneth Walker. I think by the time we get to the end of August, I think Walker might leapfrog some of these guys just because of the steam.
Walker and Saquon are pretty interesting. I'd be down to go between one of those guys, man. I just come back to the fact that this time last year, it was near consensus for good reason that Saquon was the best running back on planet Earth. And now we can get him early round 2.
If I know you have true conviction and this is your draft, Ian, I'm joining you. So let's go with your guy Saquon Barkley here at the 203.
Saquon Barkley, come on down. That's it, Theo. We are splitting this money if we are lucky enough to win $1 million here over here. So should we get a safe word going on or something like that, like Zacchaeus or something just super easy to remember?
Yeah, no, I think we'll just go. For me, it's I want to stay a little bit open-minded. Like you said, it's this running back tier. I'm willing to sort of be wrong. I think there's a chance that like 4 running backs in this round all return some kind of value. But I think it's like, can we find the skeleton key guy that averages like 4 points more per game than the rest of them? Saquon, I mean, the volume he had to endure in 2024, that was historically high. Last year, obviously, he didn't have to play as late. They didn't make the Super Bowl, and the volume decreased. So all the vibes are there. And then also with Sean Mannion there, with A.J. Brown gone, is it becoming even more of like a Saquon Barkley type offense? Like I like Devontae Smith. I like, Dallas Goedert. Mekhi Lemon's interesting, but Saquon is Saquon. And does he have one more amazing season left in him? I think he could. And maybe the season's just somewhere in between 2024 and 2025, and you get like 17 points per game. If Jefferson bounces back, I mean, you got the bounce back team right here, Ian. This is like the Jefferson and Saquon start. So I think I'm open-minded to Saquon having a really, really strong season. And I get it. The late season schedule for him is very challenging. But, hey, man, we got the early season schedule too.
That's what I'm talking about. I would love to have the great schedule in weeks 15 through 17, but we got to get there first, everyone. Yeah. So I appreciate you guys hanging out with us in the YouTube streets. Hit a like and hit that subscribe button if you want. But, hey, it's a free country. Do whatever you desire. The schedule stuff is one thing, but Theo, I go back to, again, I still have nightmares about this, just right when we think we know everything about football, man. 8 straight weeks last year of Ashton Jeanty doing absolutely nothing. And then who's he decided to go off for 200 yards and 2 touchdowns against? The Houston Texans. So, yes, I know we're going to try to grind these numbers, and strength of schedule is a piece of the puzzle, but I really, man, particularly in preseason, I try not to let the strength of schedule stuff completely override my decisions,
Yeah, and also injuries happen in the NFL. Like I think we're usually pretty good at predicting the top ranked defense, but we're not great at predicting like defense 2 and defense 3 over the years. If you sort of look at like the way these defenses are being drafted. So I've been drafting the Houston Texans. I think they're an edge pick, but again, 2 significant injuries and things change a little bit. They become a little bit softer. And also I think that the Eagles themselves are an offense that Sean Mannion, the vibes are incredible right now. Yeah. Could they be a team that are clicking on all cylinders and put pressure on opposing defenses? They're really like a fun one. I had this kind of conversation on a couple of shows with people about how they're all sort of priced to return some value. Maybe not Devontae Smith, who's moved up significantly. Right. Like he's being drafted sort of as a fringe wide receiver 1. But like all the other guys, like Dallas Goedert, Jalen Hurts, Mekhi Lemon for that matter, they're all like in a great range. And then you've brought up like Saquon, where, Saquon last year at this time, we'd be having to say, do we take Saquon Barkley at like the 102, the 103? And now you're getting him at the 203. So he's very, very interesting.
Had a fun conversation with Ryan Heath yesterday. Again, you can check out the top 10 biggest tight end questions. He also just came out with his fantastic draft guide over at Team Fantasy Points. Freaking love everything that dude comes up with. But we were talking about Goddard and just were a lot of his touchdowns last year of the fluky, I don't want to say fluky, but I was just so surprised week after week to see Kevin Patullo designing up these shovel passes and just these wild, there's a jet sweep touchdown against the Niners in the playoffs, all for Dallas Goedert. So I don't necessarily think he's going to get those again, but at the same time, there's no AJB. The splits with and without him have been real nice, and it would make sense if he does get a good bit of red zone touches. Is Dallas Goedert for you, Theo, kind of like your break glass in case of emergency tight end? Like who would be, particularly in a tight end premium league, sort of like the lowest tight end that you'd feel comfortable coming away with?
I think as a tight end 1, I think Goddard is fine if you punt the position, because you're getting him at like, see, on Underdog he's tight end 15, in FFPC he's tight end 13, and last year you're talking about a near 20% target share and also had 11 touchdown grabs. And if you have the variables where is Devontae Smith going to take on like the exact same role as A.J. Brown in terms of like target share, air yard share, first read rate? Maybe it's a little bit lower. And then you have the variable, does Mekhi Lemon like come right out the gate swinging, and does he have a similar role to like Smith? Maybe not. So I think Goddard has been a consistent player in this offense, and it just feels like he's being drafted at his floor. I think Jake Ferguson, if you want to chase like a very good offense, he's fun. And then if you want to get like a little bit deeper into the weeds, Chigakonkwo is pretty interesting. But, we want to have some, the other idea is if we, in this format, is sort of like, if you take a tight end that's locked and loaded, we don't have to take a million shots in like the last 10 rounds on all those guys. So then, maybe you can take shots on running back, like handcuffs and more like upside swings instead of, hey, I got to get through tight end with like 4 guys. So I think we got to be open-minded. Tyler Warren, Ian, if you want him, I think it's this range. Malik Neighbors goes. I think there's also some incredible wide receiver values here.
Yeah. Waddle, Ladd, Zay Flowers.
Yeah. Warren, I think Zay, if you want him, we take him here. I feel
pretty confident that we can get one of these sick wide receivers coming back. Maybe it's not the exact one we want, but after Warren, let's face it, we're starting to get into not bad territory, but it is a tier break after Warren.
Waddle will be there at the 403. Warren gives us, again, the ability that we don't have to chase other tight ends, and I think he could be like a Trey McBride 2025 light type run out where he gets 140 targets. So I think Warren or Flowers makes sense. Your call on this one, and then we can roll it back at the 403.
Let's go with Tyler Warren, man. And pure tight end premium. I just don't want to get cute. It's like being in a super flex draft. It's all fun and games waiting on quarterback until you actually look at what you're dealing out there with the projections.
And then Flowers goes one pick behind. So we're looking at some interesting guys coming up at the 403. Wide receiver wise, I think Wilson's interesting when you take him in the 4th round. Jalen Waddle, I agree with you, is a really, really strong one. Mm-hmm. If running back wise, I think Cam Scatterboo's interesting. And if it's
Kyron, I know Blake's coming.
Kyron, I'm in 403. I'd be open minded to Kyron. Yeah. I like your initial thought on Waddle though. I think like your run out here where you already have Saquon. Do we anchor it down? Does a running back fall to us at the 5'10"? I think we might like who we get at the 5'10". I think Jalen Waddle potentially could be a wide receiver 1 this year. So we'll see which way Team 12 goes. But let me see. Anybody else you want to consider for the queue here? And let us know in the chat.
Yeah.
Let us know in the chat here. Are you in this draft? It's going to change the way Ian and I talk for the rest of it. I'm not sure about that.
It's life in the big city with it. I'd appreciate if you guys don't try to snipe us each and every way out there, but that happens when you are streaming drafts. Ladd McConkey versus Waddle is my biggest question here. I do have Waddle ranked higher.
I like Waddle a little bit more as well. I think like Ladd, McMillan, these guys are interesting. I think Josh Jacobs is interesting with similar bet to Kyron. And I think he might just avoid everything. I took him in the 4th round of the FFPC. Josh. Okay, so I think Waddle is the biggest edge pick here, but Kyron structurally gives us something pretty interesting. I think Kyron's like perfectly fine, and we would have a nice rollout here. I lean Waddle, but if you want to lean into like the safety of running back, I do think there'll be somebody decent at the 5'10", an option, and then I think there'll also be a couple of potential guys at 603. I lean Waddle here, Ian, but if you want to go Kyron, it's not a bad start.
We're going Jalen Waddle. Let's lock it down. I do think having that anchor in Saquon, we're going to figure out the RB2 to the aggregate. We're going to moneyball it, man, all right? We have all these muddled committees. We got the Panthers, the Steelers, the Commanders, the Vikings, all these guys in the RB3, RB4 range that we're going to be tacking on at a point when we're feeling good about wide receiver, feeling good about tight end, and going late round quarterback, and getting the handcuffs as well. So, again, I admit in 2 wide receiver versus 3 wide receiver, that would be the argument for going with someone like Kyron or Jacobs here structurally. But for me, man, flag plant, my guy, it's Jalen Waddle. And getting him at the early round 4, sign me up.
Yeah, I'm with you. And I think also one way to play it when we walk away from rounds 1 through 4 with only one running back is I think Tank Bigsby is one of the easiest clicks for the handcuff running backs. And since I tend to, when we're in like kind of a hero RB build, I like handcuffing a little bit more. I also like handcuffing when we like our team and we feel like we're not trying to play catch up. But like, it's interesting. I had this conversation. I know you had Hayden Winks on your show. I had him on my show this week, and we kind of talked about how like Bigsby and Brian Robinson are like the only clear contingent upside handcuffs that are being drafted like pretty late. A bunch of the other guys are like in these kind of committee backfields or ambiguous backfields. So those guys are kind of like in their own little range. I mean, Marshawn Lloyd, I know we're both on, but I feel like he has a little bit of a challenge from potentially Chris Brooks, where I feel like it's like set it and forget it. Bigsby, on your weekly rankings, Ian, if Saquon was out for week 1, where would you have Tank Bigsby? You'd have to put him in the top like 15 running backs, no question.
About to say, could we see Will Shipley be a little bit annoying on pass downs, and would all the push stuff that impacts Saquon also impact Tank Bigsby? Sure, but all these stats that we want to use for running backs, man, yards after contact, tackles avoided. I know it's always tough to parse through the O-line, the QB impact, but not even a small sample, man. Over 200 carries these last 2 seasons, and all those numbers tell us that Tank Bigsby really has been one of the more efficient running backs in the league out there. So I'm with you. I do think, again, because handcuffs are tricky because you're trying to balance that. All right, what's his standalone value, and then what's his best case injury contingent value? But man, if every single RB1 in the league, decide to take the season off, they win the lottery and they take vacation together, it'd be a little weird scenario, but bear with me. I do think Bigsby would be a top 5 running back from a pure injury contingent, handcuff, next man up mindset.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I think he's good, and he showed he was good in 2024. It was like 750 rushing yards, like 7 rushing scores, and we had all that discourse where he was outperforming Travis Etienne. So I think he's really fun. So we can catch up. There'll be some guys at the 5'10 and the 603. Hopefully, there's going to be like another running back run in round 5 with like a lot of those year 2 guys. Swift will be gone. Montgomery will be gone. But there'll be a couple of interesting players there. And then I think we're going to get access to, this is like sort of the FFPC, where some of these tight ends, where maybe in a regular league you could sort of say, I've already drafted Tyler Warren. Your best pick at the 603, 5'10 might be a tight end as well, because there's some appealing guys there, and certainly there'll be a bunch of wide receivers we like too.
And guys, before the show, just in the effort of letting you all know what we were thinking, we're trying to be the late round quarterback guys this year. Theo was talking about a draft he was in previously, got a good value on Drake May, and there probably will be some good values here. Even Josh Allen beginning of the 4th, okay, but man, it seems like one of these top 12 quarterbacks, Theo, every single draft you see, whether it's Jalen Hurts, whether it's Justin Herbert, Jackson Dart, someone inexplicably falls to round 10 or round 11, and you point at them and you say, how did that team get them? We're trying to be those guys today.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. It's there's going to be somebody there, and like the Brock Purdy types are always going to be there. There's a couple of really appealing like QB2s as well if you want to get even deeper into the weeds. I think you can build out 2 quarterback builds in FFPC easily by waiting to round 10, round 12, double tap the position, and end up with like 2 potential top 5 guys. That being said, that if the edge is there and we like a guy in the 8th round, we can also go about it that way. It's kind of different ways to do it this year, but quarterback is super deep and a lot of really appealing guys. I think we'll probably see Lamar go maybe in round 6. So you're talking about like 2+ rounds between Josh Allen and QB2. It's a wild gap in terms of QB tiers right now.
Appreciate everyone hanging out in the chat. Maybe Theo, is that about where AJ Brown goes? I would have taken him over Rashee Rice, but
yeah,
I do
it was
think he's
a little early for Rice. Rice always goes behind Drake London, AJ Brown. I would say that the Jahmyr Gibbs, Drake London start is incredibly rare. I wouldn't be surprised if that's like the only one in the Big Gorilla contest. That's super late for Drake London. So shout out to our guy Darren Armani, who I get ADP information from for FFPC from fantasymojo.com. He has like a stack finder. So like a lot of these things are very common, like especially at the 101 and the 112. You see like a lot of common teams. London at the 212 is just, it's cash money right there. I think it's interesting that Rice went ahead of those guys, and that's a little bit low for what we've seen recently from like AJ Brown and certainly London. Those guys are usually gone a little earlier. Nothing else really stands out as like super egregious or super reach. Malik Neighbors moving up. He was he's going to keep moving up. He's an interesting one because, he's Malik Neighbors, and we thought I had him super low in my rankings, Ian. I had to move him up big time. Me too. Yeah. Oh, and shout out to Zane in the chat. Our guy Zane in the chat.
Make sure you guys are all, let's face it.
Oh, Chev is in the chat too. Shout out to Chev, and shout out to Scott Kobe, who's a big high stakes guy out there. I usually see Scott out in Vegas for drafting. Okay, so Ian, we got to get back to business here. We're 4 picks out. Tucker Kraft goes. So you're going to see Fannin, Laporta, Pitts, all in this little tier in like the 5-6 area. And then Kittle should be right around this as well. Our queue is getting beat up. I have one wide receiver in there I'd love to get at the 5'10". Yeah. And running back has gotten beat up too.
There's one more running back I'd be cool with though.
Okay, well, put him in the queue, and then I'm with you, but will he get there at the 603 is the question mark. I
love your thoughts on the wide receiver. I am happy.
Okay, I think we take him, and I think if we have to play catch up and be a hero RB build, then we're a hero RB build. I think we take the most dangerous player on the board here, and I think we both like this player, and 5'10" I think is a great value for him.
Then come on down. Anyone want to guess?
Tell us in the chat, who are we taking? They already know.
Seconds. I'm in no rush.
Yeah, we'll have this milk this out. I mean, come on, guys. It's our guy Christian Watson. Let's take Christian Watson right here.
Carnell Tate. I mean, index. I appreciate you trying. Maybe. Who knows?
I like Carnell Tate too, but I think Watson's in a could Christian Watson be the 2026 version of 2024 Terry McLaurin and end up with like 13 touchdown catches? I mean, I think he could.
Hey, all the, again, amazing yards per out run stuff that we hype up a Luther Burden for good reason. Make that list longer than 3 guys, and you'll see Christian Watson pop out number 4 in this half season coming off the knee injury. So number 1 for Jordan Love in an offense we like. Sign me up for Christian Watson. Obviously lost Jadarian Price.
Losing.
Brooks, wow.
Yeah, Jonathan Brooks is a rocket ship, and also I think Brooks the vibes are great. I think this is kind of where he's headed. We've seen him living in round 6 recently. We're in a little bit of a. I don't think there's a running. I don't think there's a running back for us here. I think you're back. Honestly, I think your edge pick here is tight end or wide receiver. I'm going to throw out Harold Fannin Jr. here. I'm going to throw out Laporta. I'm going to throw out Pitts. If you have conviction on one of those guys, them in the flex in this format, and then if you want to go with another wide receiver, I'm not in love with taking Devontae Adams this year, but 603 feels like 603 for Devontae Adams feels pretty good, considering his touchdown upside. I like those guys, and if you want to go a little deeper down in the weeds, I don't mind a little Parker Washington. If you have conviction on a tight end, though, I think this is the edge. And we could be done at the tight end position and have 2 of these exciting pass-catching tight ends and one of them in the flex.
More and more, I'm just like, what is the back case for Sam Laporta, man?
His back injury.
Yeah, but he's off pup.
Okay, so let's take him. That's fine.
Boom.
Yeah,
I think that is the concern. You nailed it. But man, number 1 offense. We know he's good at football. The whole Petsing thing. Worst case, he's a number 3 in an offense that we freaking love. So I hear you. I don't love the back surgery either. Fannin had the groin thing though. Pitts is the only one that doesn't, but we hate the offense a little bit more. Kraft's coming off the ACL. TEP, give me Laporta.
I think Fannin is just like a awesome talent. I think he's super, super fun with the yak ability, but with Laporta, you get access to this unbelievable offense. And, you talk about like in this sort of a tournament setting, potentially running pure for 3 weeks. Could Laporta give you a run out in like weeks 15 through 17 where he ends up with like 5 touchdowns in a 3-week period and has a bunch of 20-point weeks? Absolutely. I mean, we saw it before. And anybody like who's lived through the Laporta FFPC experience, he was sort of a league winner in his rookie year when he was tight end 1 overall. And then year 2, Laporta was this sort of busted ADP, but he salvaged it. There was that wild 49ers Lions game to end the year where Laporta just smoked it and was like really good. So I don't mind it. I think this whole tier of tight ends is interesting. Shout out to somebody asking us, has Watson played a full season? No, Watson has not, but that's sort of the appeal with Watson. He just got the bag on a per game basis. Last year he was legit, and the team seems to believe in him. And I think that there's a chance that we see the best season. I think we'll see the best season Christian Watson's ever had as a pro. And the narratives change. Ian, you've been doing this a long time, man. Guys are injury prone until they play a full season. So Watson, the vibes are immaculate right now. And Green Bay as an offense, there's a lot of pressure on LaFleur to deliver this year, and I think they've got to look a little bit different. Even if you're like, I think Josh Jacobs is fine in round 4. I took him the other day in a main event, but things have got to change a little bit. This team has aspirations of making it to a Super Bowl, and I think there's pressure on LaFleur after the last 2 years to get there. So leading into Jordan Love and leading into the guy they just paid a ton of money to at the wide receiver position makes sense.
And I'm telling you guys, Jordan Love, he doesn't throw many picks, but some of the ones he throws, and there's that one image we all remember where like Dobbs went out of the end zone, the Panthers dude dropped it, and it was like, what the hell were you doing, Jordan Love? It was fourth down anyway. I don't want to get into it, but when Love makes mistakes, they look so bad that I think people get their opinion of him twisted. Pull up any of these fancy advanced stats you want, guys, over the last 3 years, and they're going to tell you that Jordan Love has been one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. We believe in Matt LaFleur. I mean, my God, if something does happen to Josh Jacobs, if he's just washed, or if he gets legal trouble, or if he unfortunately gets injured, why not open up the passing game, man? We're even getting some training camp reports, not to be the boy who cries, every training camp report that somewhat fits a narrative I'm trying to push. But apparently the Packers are moving with a little bit more pace, man. Like, if you are looking for a dark horse passing game that actually could boom a bit, I think the Packers check a lot of boxes, and their number one wide receiver is Christian Watson.
Yeah, I'm with you. And I think, like, if you disagree with Ian and I on the value of Christian Watson, then you should be taking shots on Jaden Reed or Matthew Golden. I think that there's going to be a Green Bay wide receiver that delivers, possibly two of them. You've also got the Tucker Kraft thing where Tucker Kraft could end up being a great value, but he's also on the pup right now. There's some re-aggravation with Tucker Kraft, and then you've got Luke Musgrave who's banged up. So you're already down to like the tight end room in Green Bay. It could be a situation where the passing game just revolves around those three wide receivers. Mm-hmm. And Watson's the best bet for me to have a complete smash season. So, interesting one here. We see Lamar Jackson and Drake May go off the board. Jalen Warren and Tony Pollard. The running backs are getting steamed up here. Doesn't mean we have to hop on one at the 7-10. We are going to have to piecemeal it together, Ian. We're going to have to be kind of pot committed to attacking running back and like having a bunch of these sort of upside swings. But I think we're wide open at the 7-10 with what you want to do in terms of like the most dangerous pick. If it's not a running back, then I don't mind. But I think like 8th round, 9th round, 10th round, 11th round, we're probably walking out of there with 3 running backs.
And that's fine with me, man. Yeah. I want to be spending those later, and even once we get past that, I want to be spending the majority of my second half of the draft picks on running backs. You get past the wide receiver 50 mark. I was doing the numbers. It's only something like, I think around two wide receivers per year over the last decade being drafted outside the top 50 have worked inside the top 24. Okay, so yeah, we will get the Pukas from time to time. Wan'Dale Robinson was a great pick last year. Like, it happens, don't get me wrong, but you need a lot of things to go right for that wide receiver that you're drafting in the late rounds. You need one thing to go right for the handcuff running back, and that's just for their starter to get injured at what has usually historically been the most injury-prone position in fantasy football. So another name you were talking about, again, just kind of if we are looking at the top guys, Brian Robinson, Tank Bigsby, awesome late-round handcuffs. I'm a little less sure of Isaiah Pacheco. We'll see.
Yeah, I'm not.
They brought him in.
Yeah, I could care less
more
about
expensive.
I could care less about Pacheco. I get it. Like, we're searching for the David Montgomery kind of role, but Pacheco looked kind of cooked to me last year in Kansas City, and I think it's. I mean, we're also making this bet on the Detroit passing game. It's Jahmyr Gibbs and the pass catchers, and I think it could be really consolidated. I think that makes it very exciting if you're taking guys like Laporta, taking guys like Jamison Williams, is you don't have that running back two that they feel like they've got to get touches to on a weekly basis. It's maximizing Jahmyr Gibbs. Jahmyr Gibbs could be 25 points a game this year. And I'll just throw out, Ian, this draft has gotten a little bit interesting. Jalen Hurts has usually been going in like round 8. This has got to be a high for Jalen Hurts over like the most recent drafts here, to see him go at the end of the 6th. So this could get a little funky. And then you're seeing running backs get pushed up. Tony Pollard in round 6 is not common. Jalen Warren sometimes, but a lot of times in round 7. And then Dobbins at the 702. I would guess that's the high for him in recent drafts as well. So we're getting some weird values here. I took Rachaad White in the main event. I think in like the 7-8 turn, he's interesting. Are you on him or Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt this year?
I'm Team Rachaad White. I think we see him have a 2024 Austin Eckler plus sort of role. And if you look back at Eckler, man, he only played like 12 games, so you're using the 17 game pace, but I think it was about 115 rush attempts, and they had Brian Robinson there as well. I think Rachaad White clears that number and gets maybe closer to 150, 175, but Eckler is pacing for 55 plus catches, man. That is something with Rachaad White where, okay, we can hope and dream about Bill finally getting that pass down role, but I really do think it is just that. It's Rachaad White, Christian McCaffrey, Alvin Kamara. Those are the only 3 guys with 200-plus catches over these last 4 seasons. So I just feel like, man, the big plays for Bill are cool. And guess what? If he gets pushed down a lot and we have to take him a couple rounds later, I'm okay with throwing a dart at him as well. But I just think when the coach is drawing up a play, Rachaad White makes that happen more often where the coach wants to go than someone like Bill.
I'm with you. I like Rachaad White. I think he's the one for me. He's just – everything's sort of lining up for him to have a really strong year, and the beat reporters are on him as a consistent pass catcher. If they can avoid like Stephon Diggs in Washington, I think he's going to have like a very usable weekly floor. And the guy has 9 touchdowns in 2 out of his last 3 seasons. Ian, we're looking at like a really good pick here. We have 4 guys, I have 4 guys in the queue, and we're 2 picks away. And I think all 4 are like complete smash values here and are going well behind ADP. There's 2 guys that give us a chance to catch up at running back, but like the guys I have at the bottom of the queue should not be available at the 7-10. This is like really great value. So I think if you have conviction on either one of those guys, I think we smash it and we keep pushing running back. I know that sounds crazy to some people watching the stream, but those guys should not be available here.
Well, dude, I don't want to catch up with everyone. I want to kind of draft our way. I don't want to let the rest of the room determine how we're going. If everyone's spamming running backs, now that's all of a sudden like giving us bad running back value. Why shouldn't we go ahead and try to take someone better? Although that someone better was Jordan Tyson, who just got taken. So
yeah, so for me, we're 1 pick away. We're 1 pick away, and if that other player's on the board, it gives us kind of a okay. So it's up to you here. The idea being, do we take our running back here because team 12 has 2 running backs, team 11 has 2 running backs. I think one of them probably takes our guy before he comes back to us and we both like him. Or do we push it and we take, a potential edge pick, tight end, who also I think will be gone by the time we pick. So it's who do you feel gives you a better chance to win a ton of money, catching up structurally with an ambiguous backfield guy that we like, or do you take a tight end who could average 17 points per game in FFPC? I think we take Rachaad White. I think we take
Rachaad White.
I don't know. I think we just take him. I worry about getting completely steamrolled here.
Let's not get too cute. Let's take Rachaad White.
Okay, we'll take him, and we will. It would have been really fun to go with a Kittle pick here. Does he come back around? Probably not. I don't love George Kittle, but I think that George Kittle in the late 7th in a tight end premium format, like we talked about with Laporta, you could roll out with a really fun lineup. It also opens us up with correlation.
There he goes.
Okay, so I'm going to throw somebody else in the queue here for a potential pick that I think you might like. And I know this is not actually, no, I don't think we need. I think it's probably a structural pick here, Ian.
I think we go another RB, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think for me, I like Gainwell a little bit more here. I think I like your other guy, but I feel like he's a little bit more of like a straight up handcuff to start the year.
Where you don't think that could be more 60-40?
Yeah, I mean he could. I like his touchdown upside. Just it's like the lack of pass catching.
Full PPR.
I think that you get a little bit of better ADP value here with Gainwell for the contest too, where he's going ahead.
I do just worry, man. Like even if something happens to Bucky, Gainwell, okay, it'll be nice, but if something happens to Kyron, we could be ranking Blake Corum like RB6.
Either one here is fine with me. If you have conviction on Corum, let's chase it. But I mean, it's splitting hairs for me. They're both fine picks. I don't mind exposure to either.
I'm going to throw some Corum.
Yeah, let's go Corum. That's your guy.
If we hadn't have gotten Rachaad White and we were just like, man, RB2, I need someone maybe I'm a little more sure of in PPR, I would give Gainwell the edge over Corum in week 1, week 2. I just think, again, if If Kyron, all right, again, playing that scenario, if every single RB1 goes down, I think the number one RB would be Travion Henderson. I think number two might be Blake Corum.
100%. I mean, I think Blake Corum we'd be ranking in the top 10. I wonder if it's a situation where we've seen zero pass catching whatsoever out of Blake Corum. Is he capable of giving at least a little bit of like opportunistic dump down role? They've never asked him to do it, but it's sort of like, do we anticipate they would use Jarquez Hunter in like an elevated role, or would they go full on bell cow Corum? I think it could be full on bell cow Corum. Not saying they design anything for him in the passing game, but I don't think he would be like this argument that he's literally a zero because we've never seen it. The sample size for him actually getting a lot of touches in NFL games is pretty limited. Michigan, I never watched him and I was like, oh, this guy has stone hands or something like that. Like these teams don't ask him to do it, but could he go out there and give you like a 3-catch game based on the game flow? Absolutely.
That's kind of where I'm at too. Kyron Williams was lauded for his pass down ability at Notre Dame for good reason, but they've never really tapped into it at the NFL level. Why? Because you got Puka Nacua, you had Cooper Kupp, you got Devontae Adams. Like clearly what the Rams are doing is working, man. So I'm not going to, besmirk Blake Corum for not getting enough receptions when they certainly have other good places to go with the football. But through 8 rounds, everyone, again, started off with Justin Jefferson, came back around with Saquon Barkley. Round 3, Tyler Warren. Remember, it is tight end premium, so getting 1.5 points per tight end reception. Came back with Jalen Waddle and a nice little end of round 5 value in Christian Watson. Sam Laporta to basically fill one of our flex spots because, again, we are buying into the scoring settings going on here. And then Rachaad White and Blake Corum as we're trying to play catch up at RB. I'm liking the squad so far, Theo. How about you?
Yeah, I like our team. We obviously have catch up at the running back 2 position. I think that the pick that kind of will determine our season is probably Laporta, where if Laporta can return back to being like a locked in top 5, maybe even top 3 tight end scorer, then I think this team is really dangerous. I'll say for the teams I'm seeing out in this draft, Team 8 is crushing it. They have a really strong build, getting Bowers at 8, then getting Hampton, and then the wide receiver room they built is really exciting. And then they got Kyron Williams in the 4th. They're good. And then Team 1, I love the Jahmyr Gibbs, Drake London, Breece Hall run out. Don't love the pushing up Jalen Hurts uncorrelated like that high to the 612. But then I like what they did with Parker Washington there. So pretty interesting. You always see like some really well-built teams. Ian, I just want to give you a shout out. You've been crushing it with the article game over at RotoWire.com. Your articles have been fire. Do you have like a code where people can sign up at RotoWire to get your work too?
Ian 20, baby. Should be in the description if you guys want. But yeah, get you 20% off a RotoWire subscription. I believe we just had some go live as well, guys, where don't get it twisted. We have varying levels of subscriptions where, again, you can get as much or as little access as you want. But would love for you guys to sign up, get the ranks throughout the season. We're going to be in here each and every week helping you out. I'm planning on writing like 5 articles a week in addition to all the YouTube gang. So definitely going to be grinding there. But I believe, Theo, then we just have a $20 like just kind of draft only sub start here.
Yeah, we have a bunch of different levels of packages depending on how much you want to spend in fantasy. Ian 20, that'll stay active for a while. You can, Theo 20's out there too for the Theo people in the streets, but Ian 20, use that one. And Ian's going to do some awesome stuff during the season too that can help you win. I'm going to be writing a bunch of articles as well. Really excited about like what we're doing, and there's going to be some very cool announcements like in August about some other potential upgrades to some subscription packages too. So we're building some really cool stuff here at RotoWire. Ian and I started within like 3 days of one another, so it's exciting, man. It's been like nonstop, and we really haven't even had the chance to interact much besides like on Slack because we're just putting out so much content. And it's good to just get in here and draft, dude. So awesome stuff. Yeah, 100%. So we did not take a quarterback yet, and we see through 8 rounds almost, we have 6 quarterbacks selected. So it just goes to show you the quarterbacks are falling in these drafts. It would have been nice to have Jaden Daniels fall with that Rachaad White correlation, but we're open to a lot of things. We're probably not a quarterback correlation team really with this team. We could build correlation out after we take our quarterback as well with like a late guy. But, Tyler Warren, Justin Jefferson, Jalen Waddle, Christian Watson, we could potentially take one of their quarterbacks, but it's not like a necessity.
Nah, and look, I think if you can stack, it's great. I don't know about you though. It's something I prioritize more in best ball land than redraft.
I agree, but in these big contests like FFPC, I think having that
Yeah.
right, it's a double bet, and it's been sort of positive EV over the years to correlate. I think if you have to reach to build a stack, it doesn't work. But if you're able to sort of naturally fall to you, it's been sort of positive. So I'm open minded to it. And this year, because the way quarterbacks are falling, it's probably easier and easier. Another thing that Fantasy Mojo does is they show like the most common stacks. So like you're seeing a ton of Drake May, AJ Brown stacks. So if you get into FFPC and you're like, oh, I'm going to do it, I'm going to get that AJ Brown Drake May correlation. I'm that guy. You're going up against like a lot of teams. So I think it's also finding like maybe little less common stacks, less common correlation that can help a lot. But I mean, if you look at it, some of the quarterbacks we like Caleb Williams, Jaden Reed, Trevor Lawrence, Herbert. There's ways to sort of build it out with those guys. And then Brock Purdy, there's a number of guys to sort of correlate with him. So I'm open-minded to it. We are in that range where if a quarterback's there at the 9-10, I think some of these guys are interesting. I'm going to load up the queue with a few that I think we like.
I am happy, Theo, in hindsight, and I mean, honestly, when we were drafting too, but I'm happy we got 2 running backs this last round because it is starting to look rough, man, if we were approaching round 9 with only 2.
100%. That's like the thing where like the old days of zero RB, or even hero RB, where you could like get it together in like the double digit rounds. Now it's like, getting the Corum and Rashad White, like those are anchor guys for us. You had Jordan Mason in the queue. I like him as well. He's gone. It's tough to find it. I don't even think this is necessarily 9 and 10. I don't think there's an edge pick running back that we need to like force in here. I'll put one guy into consideration just because I think he's going to start moving up. We've had like a lot of positivity with early training camp buzz, sort of in a similar light of like the guys we've taken. But I think our queue has got some dangerous guys in here that make our team better. Obviously, the quarterbacks are very interesting. Any sort of lean here? Let's wait till we get OTC in case we got spies in the streets.
Nah, I got you. By the way, guys, just a quick scheduling update. I have gone out and I've actually locked down some beat reporters, I think, in some of the more ambiguous situations out there. So we're going to have John Shipley on the show here soon enough. Also, Eli Berkowitz from the Packers, Matthew Collar with the Vikings, and Zach Jackson with the Browns. So not going through all 32 teams, but wanted to pick again a handful, maybe with some bigger questions for us in the fantasy streets and get those answers to you guys. So keep an eye out for those coming soon to a YouTube channel near you. And by that, I literally mean this one. So keep an eye out for that. Tight end run, Goddard, Likely, Ferguson, Kincaid flying off the board, Caleb Williams as well. I still don't feel like we need a quarterback, man. I like some of the wide receivers on the board.
I like some of the wide receivers. I like the one running back that I put in the queue. I will say there's a chance for some correlation though, Ian, if you're looking at the way you kind of set up the queue here, which I think we would play it with the player higher in the queue. Yeah, you never know if people are spying in here, so I feel like it's probably better to just say the name. Okay, so QJ goes, spying, so that's gone. That's gone. So for the wide receiver that I have in here, it gives us a sort of double bet at the room. I like him. I think he's a fun pick. If you want to just get your preferred quarterback, I do think Justin Herbert's sort of staring. Back? Yeah, I like the running back too, but will the running back come back around? He's pushed way down. He's pushed way down in ADP versus these other guys in terms of like where we've seen him go for a high. I think your edge pick here is either Herbert or the wide receiver, and I think one of the 2 running backs I put in the queue is good. And I think there's a chance that even if you don't like number 4, it would give us a shot at the whole backfield. So I think it's Herbert or wide receiver here.
Let's go with Herbert.
Let's go Herbert. Yeah, let's take Herbert.
End of round 9, Justin Herbert. Again, one of the biggest bets I want to make this fantasy football season is the Chargers offense being awesome. So I am happy to get a member of said Chargers offense. Still have a chance later. Trey Harris is out there. Rondé Gadsden is out there.
Yeah, no, for sure. There's a bunch of these guys out there. And I think the guy we've got in the queue would also be a fun way to correlate.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Jaden Reed was also, for the record, the other kind of wide receiver.
Yeah, so Jaden Reed goes one pick after us, and it would have been an interesting double bet with the two Packers wide receivers, maybe a little consolidation there.
Yeah.
JCM, Ja'Cory Krusky-Merritt, we also had in the queue where it was a bet on a lot of times these ambiguous backfields are not like a 50-50 timeshare. It would be one guy runs away with it, and betting on a Jaden Daniels starting running back is not the worst bet to make. But I'm kind of glad that we didn't have to make that decision. There's one guy coming back around that I think would be an obvious click for us, Ian, if he gets... Okay, so let's take him. Let's take our guy. Let's take Keaton Mitchell.
Let's get Keaton Mitchell, baby.
All right, let's do it. Keaton Mitchell, we get our running back 4. You know, could he be a handcuff plus? And I think he's different than just a pure handcuff because I think he's the design touch guy. There's the clip going around.
Cop the wheel.
Come on, man. And the Justin Herbert over the top. I mean, it's a beautiful, beautiful sight to see with Keaton Mitchell. I can't stop drafting Keaton Mitchell in best ball. I mean, it's almost like I gotta like scale it back a little bit. He goes next to like Tyrone Tracy and on Underdog and stuff, and I'm like, you know, maybe the guy that's had 1,000 yards in consecutive seasons I should take ahead of Keaton Mitchell every time. But then I'm like, man, Keaton Mitchell, fast guy in a Mike McDaniel offense, and Ian, you talked about this before, the like custom made posters that Mike McDaniel. I mean, could you imagine being the dude at Kinko's? And Mike McDaniel walks in and he's like, can you make a wanted poster with Alec Ingold and a wanted poster with Keaton Mitchell? And the guy's like, are you for real? And he's like, yes.
Well, dude, I feel like it's that meme where we got the kind of the idiot, then the Jedi, and then the guy overthinking in the middle. And the guy in the middle is like, well, if something happens to Hampton, Kamani Vidal could take the early down work. And, we haven't really seen Mitchell sustain it. And can he really be catching these passes? And the Jedi and the idiot are just like, the 4-3 freaking speedy running back is with Mike McDaniel and the Chargers, right?
Yeah.
Like that could be freaking awesome. 80% of Devon Achane guys is a lot of fantasy points.
100%. And I think it's just also like Keaton Mitchell just, I don't know. It just makes too much sense to have one of these guys that's in this similar range. Like you saw QJ, you mentioned Aronde Gadsden, like one of the lower drafted Chargers producing in a major way. If we're betting on this offense to be like potentially the number 1 scoring offense in the NFL, multiple ADP boats are going to get carried. And I love Hampton. I know you talked about Ladd McConkey. Those guys are getting steamed up in ADP, where these other guys are all in like a range where it's a way smaller bet for us to make. So I like what we did.
Trevor Lawrence now going off the board. Small wide receiver run, Xavier Worthy, Jordan Addison, Jacoby Myers, and Jalen Coker. We are starting to get to the point where the wide receivers, I think, fall off a little fast. So hoping, Theo, that 1 or 2 of them maybe slide through the cracks back to us. Not a given, which would be a bigger problem, again, guys, if we did have to start 3 of them. But I'm more okay being light on wide receivers, obviously, when we do only have the 2 starting spots.
Yeah, FFPC, you do have a little bit of wiggle room where you can flex out a tight end and obviously a running back. But I do hope one of the guys we have in our queue last to the 11-10. One of these upside bets at wide receiver would be fun for us to get. But we can build it out in a number of ways. And it just kind of like the one kind of like the lesson learned when you're watching these drafts is, I like the last draftable wide receiver is always sort of a big question mark. And when we say last draftable, it's like the last wide receiver you could see sort of being in weekly starter conversation.
Yep.
It starts getting light. It starts getting pretty light this year. So that's the problem with the wide receiver monsoon in like rounds 3, 4, and 5 is some of these other guys get like pulled up. So and team 8, we see them. They've got to continue to get value. They got Mekhi Lemon and Jordan Addison. Yeah. Really interesting build there. But I like what they've done. I like what they've done a lot.
No, it's a solid squad for sure. Obviously, Brock Bowers at the top, Hampton and Kyron holding down the RB room. Not that they don't have their potential, downside scenarios, but hey, the upside scenarios is that both Los Angeles offenses are really freaking good, and they're the clear lead backs for them. Olave, Odunze, Adams, Tyson, Godwin, Lemon, and Addison. A lot of cracks at that wide receiver 2-3 range, and you know what, man? It's a range that I like having cracks at. Like, honestly, seeing all the wide receivers that are available starting around like Devontae Smith all the way to, the Jordan Tysons of the world, it makes you want to join more auctions than ever, Theo, because I just want cracks at all of them.
Yeah, I think a lot of smart people have sort of had your like answer where it's just draft auctions. And I know like you're on a number of those wide receivers. I know your our friend Rich Rebar is as
Oh
well.
yeah.
Our friend John Daigle is as well, and I think a lot of people have made that argument. Um, it's a really fun year. I think there's going to be a number of the players in that tier that are going to challenge to finish way higher at the wide receiver spot position. It's a really fun year in general in fantasy. Really looking at our queue here, Ian, I'm getting a little nervous. We might get steamrolled here. I like number 4 in our queue. I think he's a player that the market's a little too low on. There's been some positivity, and I think he sort of gets us there. We have a chance at more correlation. There's 5 guys in the queue, and we're a number of picks away. I just hope they are not all gone. And I'll say, just as like a 2 for 2 here, if we would have passed on Justin Herbert, Dak Prescott's still available, Brock Purdy's still available. It just goes to show you, just quarterback is so deep right now. One of these guys is probably going to fall to around 12. You can just wait on quarterback. Will you get jammed in certain leagues? Sure, but in FFPC, waiting on quarterback seems to be one of the edges this year.
Have you noticed, because I know, Theo, you are drafting, several different providers. In FFPC specifically, do you notice a lot of teams taking 2 quarterbacks sooner rather than later? Or is it a point where really you can be more confident, I guess, in other providers that, hey, most teams are going to take 1 until really everywhere else is dried up?
That happened actually to Dave Kluge and I in like the other high stakes format, in an NFFC draft where we waited and thought we were being like sharp with it. And then every single smart manager, like on the tail end, just went with their second quarterback, and we got completely steamrolled. Ended up with like a Kyler Murray, Malik Willis team, which doesn't sound awful, but it's 6-point passing touchdown over there, so that's a little bit of a challenge. But I think that you're seeing some managers going with like the double tap quarterback approach. Like I think the team that took Trevor Lawrence in round 10. Could they come back and take another quarterback here and just say, you know what, I'm going to go with Brock Purdy, or they have George Pickens, so maybe they just take Dak Prescott. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think your ability to double tap quarterback when you take your first in the double digit rounds is fine, just like regardless of what the league does. But I'd say for the most part, you're going to be pretty safe playing it, and a lot of people are going to try to like sap up the edge picks at running back and wide receiver. And then you're also going to see like a secondary tight end cleanup here, Ian, where you see like Brenton Strange, Juwan Johnson go off the board. You're going to see a bunch of these guys start to go, like the clear starting tight ends that have at least a little bit of like theoretical upside. They all start to go as well.
Jaden Higgins, Matthew Golden, Casey Concepcion, definitely 3 of the guys that we had in our queue hoping we're going to fall back. Was it overly realistic? Not exactly. Did hear that Casey Concepcion apparently out there with the first team offense alongside Jerry Jeudy and Isaiah Bond right now. So could Denzel Boston be the odd man out at the beginning of the year? Potentially. There he goes off the board as well. Casey is someone, Theo, love watching this who's coming out. I mean, you see just awesome routes and wins against some of the best cornerbacks that college football had to offer. Great things as a running back earlier in his career, too. Very excited to see how Todd Monken is going to use him. If there was a later-ish, I mean, let's say like after Tyson and Tate, do you think KC or Lemon, or is there one of these rookie wide receivers that you are really trying to come away with more times than not?
I mean, I like drafting both of those guys. We see where Mekhi Lemon went in this draft. He's like completely beat up in some of these formats. We were considering drafting him. He went right ahead of us, where it was like him and Quentin Johnston, like back to back, I think in the 9th round. And then we went with Justin Herbert, like 9th round, Mekhi Lemon. He's going to be in a full-time role. I know there's some Dontavian Wicks enthusiasm out there, but they draft Mekhi Lemon for a reason. We're getting all these reports that they're having Jalen Hurts pass to the middle of the field a lot. We're about to pick, and I think Casey Concepcion also, like we've seen Zay Flowers thrive in under Monken, and Casey's got a similar outcome. Okay, so we're OTC here. I think we push the button on one of these 2 wide receivers here, Ian. Tracy went. He would have been the obvious running back pick. I like both of these wide receivers here as a run out. Like, could we get both of them at this turnout?
Who do you think we have a better chance of getting at the turn? Number 3?
Number 3. And I think the fail-safe would be we just lean into the correlation with our guy. I like Actually, you know what? I mean, I like 3 more than 2 because we have clarity on 3, and there's been some like positivity with him, and I think he's the number 2.
Clarity.
Let's take him because we don't have the flexibility to just swing for it. Let's reach and take him here.
Rashid Shaheed.
Yeah,
everyone.
I think this is where he should. I think he should be living in the 11th round. They like him. They traded for him. They signed him. And when you look at that team, Ian, like you're doing these very detailed rankings and tiers, like Shaheed profiles as the number 2 target in that offense where I'm sitting.
Guys, Darnold and Goff, those are the only 2 quarterbacks I've thrown for 4,000 yards in each of these past 2 seasons. More and more, it's like, I know they were run first last year. I know they got this great defense, but when you remove the top 2 running backs from the equation, why not lean a little bit more on Sam Darnold out here, throw the ball around the yard? Yeah, Torrey Horton's back. Yeah, Cooper Kupp is still on the team, but man, loved everything about Shaheed for honestly lesser versions of Saints offenses. So why couldn't he get things going here in 2026? I was a little bit bummed that he didn't have more going the second half of last year, given the familiarity with Clint Kubiak and Torrey Horton. So I understand why he's this late, but Jalen McMillan, Romeo Doubs, Denzel Boston, like even Shakur, man, I'm taking Shaheed over those dudes every time.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think that Shaheed's a little bit underrated right now. We saw how he started out the year last year in New Orleans, where he was like a usable player, gets traded to Seattle, and we were all hyped up, and then it took him a little while to ramp up. Was great as on special teams, but I think it's sort of like rational coaching and the offseason. Okay, so we're 1 pick away here.
Okay.
Yeah, they got sniped on that one. I have 2 running backs in the queue here.
Let's get a wide receiver. Yeah,
let's take Diggs. I think Diggs is the player for me here.
He really helps for this team, I think, too, given the fact that we did wait a little bit to get 4 and 5, because if and when, like, all right, Theo, Diggs signs with Washington. There's been a lot of smoke to that. I just don't really see the Brandon Ayuk thing playing. Maybe it does play out. Let's pretend like it doesn't for the sake of argument. Stephon Diggs is number 2 wide receiver on the Commanders. Round
9. Round 9. Yeah, round 8, round 9.
8 or 9?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think like we look at what Deebo Samuel did in that offense last year, like where he was 11 points per game in PPR. Diggs is a better player than Deebo at this point in their careers, and I think like Diggs, I don't think it's. I had Zane on, and I thought Zane made a really interesting point where Zane's monitoring this situation a lot in Washington, and I think it comes down to how much do they love Antonio Williams after like 10 days of training camp? Do they just pull the trigger on Diggs? But Diggs is training at the University of Maryland. He's putting like all these videos of himself on Instagram and stuff, training at University of Maryland where he played college. He's from like Montgomery County, Maryland, which is right near PG County where Washington has their stadium. And nice. It just makes so much sense for him to go. He was like a DMV star in high school. To go kind of like end his career there makes some sense. And then Baltimore was the other team that he could have ended up at, but then they signed, like, people don't like kind of discounted this one, but it feels like when Baltimore signed Chris Moore, even though he's not a guy we'd ever use, it's sort of like they bring in a veteran who's been there when Chris Moore, they don't deal with like kind of maybe the Stephon Diggs circus. Washington, I think, might just go with it. It's such like a big swing, Ian, because if Diggs doesn't sign there, we like Antonio Williams more and we like Chigakonkwo more. And we probably like Terry McLaurin more. But Zane made the point, like, could Diggs out-target Terry McLaurin this year if he signs there? Is that like what's the percentage chance you put on that one?
I would say
low, but it's not zero.
Low, but it's not. Yeah, no, I hear it. And honestly, that's the crazy part about even 2014. There wasn't competition there. It's not like Terry had 160 targets. I used to complain every single week to my lovely friend and fantasy life director of analytics, Dwayne McFarland. I'd be like, how do you only have Terry McLaurin projected for this many targets? He would say, look at his career target rates. How should I project him for more? And I would say, you got to believe this year's going to be different. But guess what? 9 years in, and Dwayne's kind of been right year after year. So I do think Stephon Diggs coming in. You can make the argument, dude, that they have been looking for that sort of intermediate receiver out there. The other big domino, again, excluding Ayuk right now, because who knows what's going on with that. I think Keenan Allen probably signs somewhere. And man, Theo, this Kayshon Boutte situation is interesting.
That's a really interesting take. Where are we projecting Keenan Allen to sign? Is the
Indy.
question? Like Indy, and that would kill the Josh Downs. Yeah, that kills Josh Downs.
I just think that Steichen and Keenan, they got that kind of throwback thing. Pierce starting off with the ankle, and just even if Pierce is 100%, really, Nick Westbrook-Akini, Ashton Doolin, that's all we have to replace Pittman. So, hey, I know Keenan's best years are behind him. That dude was still good enough to lead the Chargers in targets last year, which blows my mind every time I look at that team stats. But, it happened.
It's like the veteran deference thing where you get these like guys like Keenan Allen coming into a locker room, and it's like we say that they're going to be like they've got to be really washed for the quarterback to ignore them and for the offensive coordinator not to say, hey, I want to design some first read looks for Keenan freaking Allen, who's been just unbelievable throughout his career. I added a couple of running backs in this queue this queue for us that I think would help us out in this build. One just went.
Yeah.
I'll also throw out I think this could be an edge for us. I think they could be completely dominant. There's like two of them sitting in this range. We've caught up well at wide receiver. Tight end is not necessary. I will throw one tight end in the queue that I think is interesting because I think like the upside in tight end premium is, and I didn't mean to do that one, but that tight end I have in the queue is interesting.
Okay. Yeah, I was hoping Woody Marsh was going to fall to us. That would have been cool. That's a nice value. Team 2, 4, team 6.
We also have this one just for a correlation week where if we ever want, like as a QB2, I think he's interesting. And God, Patrick freaking Mahomes, still OTC. I almost want to take him out of principle here if he's there at 13-10, like uncorrelated. It's just like throw a little bit of respect to Patrick Mahomes' name. And this is another thing, like, would we like our team better if we passed on Herbert and just took Mahomes with like the 14th round? We double tap quarterback here. We could have 2 quarterback options, and there's like a number of quarterbacks that you can get at 13 and 14, and we just have to play the weekly matchups. But hey, man, that's where we're at.
I know. Again, we even said it before. We wanted to be those guys getting the late round quarterbacks. Got a little too excited about Mr. Justin Herbert. We got Justin Herbert though, man.
Yeah.
So wasn't going to be for someone that we didn't really believe in there. So there goes Stribling. He was someone I added to the queue.
That would be a good one. I think we take the running back here because it's been a running back monsoon, and we get a clear handcuff here. Very unexciting pick, but Brian Robinson. If Bijan missed a month of the season, I'm not going to ever put out into existence Bijan missing the season or something. But if Brian Robinson had 4 games or 2 games, he's in the starting lineup. He's the clear cuff there, and would see way less of the passing game usage, but he wouldn't be a zero there. But he would have a dominating running share and be used at least in like some of the past games. So I think Brian Robinson, like any week Bijan would miss, you'd probably have him somewhere running back 18 to 20 range, Ian.
Yeah. 100%. So I don't think we're going to get too much, if any, standalone value there. But again, it's an offense where we have consistently seen Stefanski and Tommy Rees, get the most out of their running backs. Were those running backs very, very good? Prime Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, earlier in his career for sure. Defense, Houston, that was one Theo was thinking about as well. Is this about the range, Theo, on FFPC where you're fine at taking a defense, most of the top handcuff running backs, top 60 wide receivers, quarterbacks off the board? This is the point for the top tier?
Yeah, for me, I mean, I have so many teams that I don't want to spend time on the waiver wire. And I think what's also interesting, and I did a pod with Nelson Sousa yesterday with Alan Seslowski. You can check that out over on the other RotoWire YouTube channel. And Alan, like we talked to Nelson. Nelson has been taking like defense, and Nelson's one of the best high stakes guys around. Does a lot of NFFC, but he does FFPC too. And he's been like over the years, I've split teams with him, and he's like taking one of the first defenses off the board. And he makes a point that he looked back over his fab over the years, and he was spending like 30% of his fab on like the red hot streaming defense that week. So you spend less fab by having a set it and forget it defense.
Good point.
And then if you have like Houston or Seattle from last year, you end up with like a massive edge. So Houston, I think, is fine. I think actually I like kind of taking a defense right here with the guys we have in the queue, Ian. I think both these defenses could be edge picks for us, and there's 2 of them.
The The one guy I'm wondering, I'm okay taking defense because I do agree if you're going to take a defense, it should be a freaking baller one this early, and we do still have them out there. What about number 6? Do you think he has a chance to wrap back to us? That would give us correlation.
I think he'll wrap back. I think he'll definitely be there.
Okay.
Yeah, so it sort of comes down to this. Your rankings are top notch. Where are you at on the Rams versus the Seahawks? And I'll throw Denver in there too. All three defenses are really, really interesting.
Rams, man. The fact that they were as good as they were last year without corners and they addressed that and upgraded Verse to Myles Garrett and we're seemingly getting Aaron Donald back. Let's get the Rams.
Let's take them. And we're passing on Patrick Mahomes at the 1403. Are the fantasy football gods going to like shoot us with lightning? I think I get it. I think people still in the chat there make a good point. Some guy says he's better than Herbert. I mean, 100% Patrick Mahomes has been better than Herbert, but is he going to be better than him this year in fantasy? I'm not sure about that one. I think Herbert's set up to smash this year. And I think the offense for LA right now, I have a ton of conviction on. So yeah, man. Yeah, let us bring the hate out there. Shout out to Ryan Bossert in the chat just laughing about this. There you go.
I get it, man.
Yep.
And there goes Trey Harris. I was hoping Trey Harris was going to wrap back around, but that's okay. It's just taking the QB2 and we have a chance to get a legit difference-making defense, man. Love Mahomes. Could the 1 year that we're as a fantasy football community ranking him lowly be the year? Okay, but 2023 QB12, 2024 QB12. Last season, he gets back to averaging 20 fantasy points per game. His passing numbers did not change at all, guys. It was pure running, and we just can't really expect that coming off the ACL. Mahomes has said as much himself. So we'll see, but I'm fine waiting on the QB2, man.
Yeah, I'm fine. And also a chance to build out a little bit of correlation, like uncorrelated Patrick Mahomes. I get it. We've got a couple of options that are going to come around to us, I think, for quarterback 2 that could give us some correlation. We have a number of them in our queue now. Wide receiver, I don't think we need another wide receiver. I look at some of the guys in the queue, Ian, and I'm like, none of them get me excited. I know 5 wide receivers is not an ideal number, but I don't know if the edge is there at reaching on one of these wideouts. I'll also bring up, if you're drafting FFPC in redraft, where it's a main event, a big gorilla, a baby gorilla, you have the free look. So you're gonna have the teams that are playing on Wednesday and Thursday, you can take in and out of your lineup. So a lot of times when you get to like round 15 on, break ties with some of these guys that could potentially just have like one big one-off game in that opener. So that's an interesting one. And the Rams defense, for that matter, if the Rams come out and have a terrible first game, we can drop someone and pick up a replacement defense. So you do have a little bit of flexibility with some of these like the free look games. And then, like Ian mentioned earlier, you can use the code Ian and get $25 free for FFPC if you're a new sign up. I play a ton over there. They also have dynasty teams. All my dynasty teams are over in the FFPC streets. And you can play in, like Ian was talking about, that $35 best ball contest. Do the $35 best ball contest. You use Ian's code. You're basically doing that for $10. And you can win $100,000 with that one. So use code Ian, and you're going to get $25 free in FFPC. You probably are going to keep playing FFPC because it's a great place to play.
Really, truly is. Just, again, not to besmirk any platforms out there, but I feel like FFPC a little bit more in the 21st century, at least the present day, with how they present things. Very, very user-friendly out there, which I appreciate. So we'll say, since we already got a DST, I'll go ahead and reveal this, guys. But if you are more so, I'm going to wait until round 20. I don't want to be chasing, the Texans, the Rams, the Broncos, the Seahawks up the board. 3 ones I really would recommend. We got the Chargers, lost Jesse Minter, but still a very good defense from last season. We got Derwin James and some difference makers. They start the season, though, with the Cardinals in week 1 and then the Raiders in week 2. So they'll get you through at least the first 2 weeks of the season. The Ravens are probably my favorite streaming one because they added Jesse Minter. They added Trey Hendrickson. We got Kyle Hamilton and some other studs too. Colts, first game, Daniel Jones coming off the Achilles. Saints, okay, I respect Tyler Sharp, but let's not pretend like they're a wagon. The Cowboys aren't good, but then after that, Titans, Falcons, and Browns. So you pretty much get a DST for the first 6 weeks with the Ravens that you can feel good about. And then finally, the Lions, guys, through the first 5 weeks. We get the Saints, we get the Bills. They are not good. I get it. We don't want to deal with that. But the next 3 games, Jets, Panthers, and Cardinals before their week 6 bye. So Ravens get you through the first 6 weeks. Lions can reasonably get you through the first 5. And I like Hutch, and maybe they get healthy for once. Chargers as well. Things to keep in mind if you are indeed waiting.
Yeah, that's great advice from Ian. And make sure you check out RotoWire.com. We've got you covered with all of like your in-season strategy, defensive streamers, all that great stuff. A ton of like very cool tools. Ian, it's like when you start working at a new site, you start like unpacking all like the amazing stuff. Like I'll give a shout out to the team behind the scenes. Like those guys have put a ton of work into the site. So maybe you were a RotoWire sub years and years ago. Come back, check us out. Things are looking way, way good. I played around with some of the tools with some of my FFPC dynasty teams. The league sync feature is absolutely awesome. Highly recommend that one if you want to like have in-season management. And then again, our rankings are going to be locked in. I think Ian and I are consistently updating our PPR rankings. I'm doing FFPC rankings as well. That'll come out early August. And then, yeah, Ian, again, he's been crushing it on the article side. Ian, we see the quarterbacks start to go. I like who we have here at the top of the queue for the quarterback position. Oh, no, never mind. He went. I like number 3 in our queue because it gives us that correlation, sort of a double bet. I just need to want to double check the bye week with Herbert. What is Herbert's bye week here before we do this? So people don't clown on us. Week 8, right? No, what is Herbert's bye? Let's double check that.
I'm checking Chargers. Where are they? God damn it.
I'm looking. Week 7 is the Chargers bye. Okay, so we're good. Yeah, let's take them. Let's take Jordan Love. Yeah. Yep.
Come on down. Talked up the Packers a little bit earlier with Christian Watson. So again, we get that correlation. Hey, Jordan Love in 2023, guys, QB5, people forget. So maybe he's better than Patrick Mahomes. All right. No, I'm not going that far. But hey, Jordan Love, certainly a fine enough QB2 out there. Ray Davis, very good handcuff as well this late.
I'll throw out one.
I'll throw last year, man. Did a good job. Yeah, go ahead.
I'll throw out one. I'll throw 3 rookies in the queue that I think are interesting, Ian. Mike Washington, I feel like, is like a clear handcuff right now. I wouldn't be surprised if the Genty team just takes him here. Where like we talked about like Brian Robinson. Okay, so that makes sense. I think with Jordan James getting a little bit banged up early on, I think Kalen Black might have a leg up in that handcuff battle. And then the fun one is Claiborne. I threw one more wide receiver in the queue that I'm taking all the time in this range. I took him in the main event last week. I mean, I like Adonai. I think for me it's Kalen Black or Adonai Mitchell here.
Why not Ryan Flournoy? We get Pickens, CD get hurt. He's actually relevant.
The problem with Flournoy is I feel like you got to hold him, and you're going to want to do waivers early on. And you just said it's like one of an injury has to happen, and I think also if Ferguson went down, he'd have some value.
No love for Travis Hunter.
No, I think it's going to take an injury. I think there's too much steam on Parker Washington and BTJ right now for me to take Hunter. I think he's another guy you'll end up cutting after a couple of games.
I vote Kalen Black then.
So let's take Kalen Black, take another running back. I think he's fun. Yeah, so I'm sure Adonai will be gone by the time we get to the 17th round, but I keep taking Adonai Mitchell. It's like the kind of like a my guy in this range if we can even have it. I just think he's like the vibes are there for Adonai Mitchell to be maybe the number 2 target there. You're getting like the Omar Cooper discount. Kenyon Sadiq also people are enthusiastic about, but Mitchell was good to end last season, and I think he's a big-time deep threat, sort of like a discount Rashid Shaheed kind of for our build. So there we go. And shout out to Wicked Good in the chat who just signed up for RotoWire, and now he's synced up his Yahoo League. Yeah, it's absolutely sick. The League Sync is like, it's really, really good stuff. I'm going to be in the Flex League drafts. I'm going to be using RotoWire tools for those ones. I'm going to be in New York City. Ian, you should have come to that draft this year, man.
I know. Got the family picnic that they had to inconveniently put around all this stuff. It is funny though, man. For years, they always had the expo in Canton, Ohio, second week of August, and it was my grandpa's birthday, so I'd always go hang out with them. Family from New Hampshire would go hang out in Cleveland as well, not too far from Canton, and just my grandparents always like, well, what do you a fantasy football convention? Okay, that's so weird. But the Cleveland local news one time like briefly covered it, and I've never seen my grandparents look at me so proudly than when they found out I was going to the thing that was on the local news. So shout out to the Expo fun time. But no, man, shout out to Jake Seeley, man. I talk to him and Pat Mayo every single week. Flex is such a fun event, man. So have a good time out there in New York.
I have to bring the Flex League stuff to the draft because Jake figured out that I live closest to New York City of anybody drafting, since like he had one guy that he usually would send the stuff to moved to like a little more southern or central New Jersey. So shout out to Jake Seeley. I do have the box of stuff, and I will be at the like the draft board and I think last year's championship. So he's like, I'm sending you something. I picked that thing up. That's like the box is like 35 pounds. It's not like I gotta park relatively close, or it's gonna be a little bit of a workout. Well, it's like a farmer's walk getting it over there.
That's too good. All right, guys, through 16 rounds, quarterback room held up by Justin Herbert, managed to snatch Jordan Love in round 15. But Theo, we're going to do another one of these, man. Yeah. I think we just got to like sign a contract before that. We are not taking a quarterback before round 12. Because again, Jackson Dart, Dak Prescott, Patrick freaking Mahomes in round 14, Jared Goff. 6-point passing touchdowns, like Theo was talking about doing another draft. I get paying up a little bit, but man, as much as I love Justin Herbert, got to admit that's some nice value later. But hey, Herbert loved pretty good quarterback room. Started off strong with Saquon Barkley in round 2. Accordingly, waited a little bit to address the rest, but Rashad White, Blake Corum, Keaton Mitchell, next crop of RBs, and then 2 more pure handcuffs and Brian Robinson and Kalen Black. We got Justin Jefferson as our first pick, spot 10, Jalen Waddle and Christian Watson inside the top 5 rounds. Reminder, we are only starting 2 wide receivers, so we felt a little comfortable not overly addressing the position afterwards. I don't want to say lucky, but certainly could have been very, very dark for our wide receiver 4 and 5 if we had a couple things go wrong, but managed to get Rashid Shaheed and Stephon Diggs, who we do believe could be a round 8, round 9 pick if and when he signs with Washington. Tight end, we are very, very strong in a tight end premium league, which is always good, with Tyler Warren and Sam Laporta. Also got the Rams defense in round 14. So still got a kicker, got to get a kicker at some point. And Theo, I love FFPC, but I hate kickers, and I hate the fact that, again, for like a 45-yard field goal, it's 4.5 points, more than a freaking passing touchdown. But you know what? I should just be, embracing the rules instead of hating them. Brandon Aubrey, round 12. I saw you had a tweet talking about he's like the Josh Allen, and you are not kidding, man. It's Aubrey, and then 4 rounds later for Jason Myers. Like, do you think there is something to be said about going after Aubrey sooner rather than later?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's when you get stuck on the board, you take Brandon Aubrey, and I think people will point out and they'll be like, yo, guys, he wasn't kicker 1 last year, and he might not be kicker 1 this year, but I think we'd be shocked if he falls out of the top 2 or 3. And he also gives you, he's like automatic on I think there's another thing like lesson where know your league scoring system. So in FFPC, you get like 6 points for a 60-yarder. Brandon Aubrey gives you a touchdown on that one essentially. So like Brandon Aubrey is awesome. Crazy. It's like peak Justin Tucker time with Brandon Aubrey. And also, Ian, if you're like trying to figure out your kicker, drafting a quick kicker from an offense we think will be very good and score a lot of points in Dallas is another strong edge. Jason Myers outscored him last year. He goes at the 16-11. Brandon Aubrey goes off the board at the 12-05. So, and also I think it's if you draft Brandon Aubrey, just don't do it on like a Dak Prescott team. I think it's kind of negative correlation to have a kicker quarterback. Correct me if I'm wrong in the chat, smart analytical people, but I think that's been like an analytical takeaway of mine over the years that I've tried it on teams thinking it's like a more correlation, but you're betting against yourself essentially.
I've also done a little bit of kicker research, not much, guys, but a little bit. And it was like they were the one position that's almost negatively correlated with being with a top 5 scoring offense. You almost want the offense that can drive down the field and stall out and then force those field goals. But to your point, when you're Aubrey and you're making 60-yarders, it's fine. I like our wide receiver 2 right here, Theo. In the queue.
Let me look. Yeah, I like him too. Will he come back around? I'll say maybe we should crowdsource this one. The whole chat wants us to take this one particular the one particular kicker named Cam Little from Jacksonville, who's got the 60-yarders. But maybe we can let him come back around. I threw one more high-end handcuff potential guy in the queue. And I know we have another running back there, but if Hampton were to go down, this would be like a champagne problem for us to have. So I'll defer to you. If you want to go wide receiver, the two top guys are fine. If you want to go with a kicker, we could go Fairbairn.
Zachariah Branch.
Yeah, let's go Branch. So I think the running back would be my preference. If you want to go with a free look guy, if Kittle doesn't play in week 1, you've got Jake Tonjes sitting there in a tight end premium format against a defense like the Rams. Could you get a game where Tonjes gets like 7 catches and maybe falls in the end zone once, and you're like, okay, he can go in the lineup for 1 week?
He kind of did that, man, for the first because Kittle hurt his hamstring in week 1 last season, and Tonjes was a low end tight end 1 the rest of the way, and had a couple other nice games down the stretch of the season. I don't hate your thought process though, with our kind of just taking all the dudes in the backup Chargers backfield range. So
yeah, I'm okay with any of these guys. I think we take Tesla out of the equation because we just got an upside. Yeah. Okay, so this makes it a lot easier. Hopefully our guy is here. If not, we're crowdsourcing this kicker.
We're taking the kicker to make the people happy. All right. Not right now. Not today, Satan.
So let's take Kamani Vidal. And now we have
Kamani Vidal.
This is sort
of like, we definitely have the Chargers handcuff. We definitely do now.
Yeah, I'm not saying that I drafted Omarion Hampton literally yesterday, but if Hampton were to miss time, this would be potentially a starting running back and a starting flex based on the way like McDaniels used this backfield. Like Vidal last year had how many 100-yard games, Ian? Wasn't it like 400-yard games for Kamani Vidal last year? Like something very strong.
He had 3 with 125 plus total.
There you
yards.
go.
That's great. Yeah. This is
125. There we go. Yeah. So and then I like the Branch bet too. Like the vibes with Branch have been pretty strong coming out of Atlanta camp. I think he's interesting.
And Atlanta Falcons. I've talked to about Zachariah Branch is again trying to get in deep with the college football guys and the really smart NFL draft guys. Because the big issue with Branch is how many RPOs and screens he was running at Georgia. Every single one of these guys who again knows college football better than me. It's the Georgia offense, man. Zachariah Branch was the number 1 recruited wide receiver in his class for a reason. I remember his first handful of games at USC and just seeing this dude as a punt returner and being like, good God, is this dude a different level of fast out there? So I know it was a little bit Mickey Mouse route stuff at everything he was doing with Georgia, but, being the engine of the Georgia Bulldogs passing game also means something to me, Theo.
Yeah, he set the record for the most receptions in Georgia history last year. He had 81 receptions, and he also led the SEC in receptions last year. And people are like, oh, this guy's, this terrible prospect because he was used as a low ADOT screen merchant. But that's how they built their offense. I mean, Georgia's top of the food chain. I know you're an Ohio State guy, but they're right there with Ohio State, like in terms of like top-notch college programs. And you bring up like the USC. He was like the number 1 high school recruit in the country, Bishop Gorman guy, which Bishop Gorman, like, that's like the powerhouse school in Vegas. So for me, it's like Zachariah Branch, he could be awesome. Scott Barrett and I used to talk about it. It's sort of the 2% chance he becomes Tyreek Hill part 2. 2%, Ian. And also he's like, we talk about him being little, and yes, he's little, but check the reps at the combine. I believe Zachariah Branch had like 21 reps on the bench press at like 180 pounds. He's like he's really strong guy. I'm actually going to check that one because I might be underselling him. It might have been like 23 reps.
I remember Tyson got 27 or 28. Questionable form. I'm aware, everyone. Come on. You know what? It's still hard to even questionably throw out that much.
Yeah, come on. Oh, it was 20 reps, but 20 reps on the bench press. And a lot of these wide receivers don't even test on the bench. So Branch just rolls out there and runs a 4.35 and then gets up and throws 20 reps up at like 185 pounds. So guys, he's got that dog.
I love it. All right, guys, we have 2 more rounds here. There's one last wide receiver who I would be willing to draft. I think it really probably is one, though.
But
we will need to be Yeah, go
You
ahead.
got this. It's a great one because we also talked about the free look. So you get a free look with this one.
True.
So maybe he gets in the end zone twice in that opener. And also, did you see the report that Kyle Williams might get cut?
Interesting.
So Kyle Williams
Cut?
is somebody I read today, and it was a Zane tweet. There was one beat reporter speculating that he might not make the final roster after being a day 2 guy last year.
I mean, it's so crowded. I love what we saw from him. He was one of only a few guys to, I think, clock 21 or 22 plus miles per hour. Of course, only caught 7 or 8 passes out there. But, man, I know Chris Sims is number 2 wide receiver, I think, overall coming out of that class. So, and guys, I know Chris makes some, again, stands that maybe don't age super well. But you know what? Some of them do as well. So I appreciate him going out on a limb either way with what he believes in and not just always subscribing to group things. So good stuff there. But, yeah, man, one more wide receiver I'd like. We don't necessarily need a kicker, Theo, but we can get one. I'm with you. We're in a lot of leagues, so I'd rather not be, keeping too many tabs on it.
Yeah, well, you have to take a kicker and a defense in these drafts.
Okay,
so FFPC,
Gotcha.
you have to do it. So we're gonna have to take a kicker. I think leaning into another free look kicker. There's one interesting kicker here anyway that I just put into the queue. I'll put one more kicker that I like, and then I don't know if you have like a go-to like break glass kicker, but I like the 2 guys in our queue. I like our wide receiver free look guy. What is the injury status right now of Torrey Horton?
He's back and kind of doing his thing. I guess it would be like Shaheed insurance,
or just be a free look guy for week 1.
Okay,
is Torrey Horton gonna get in the end zone on a bomb or something like that? Like we saw Torrey Horton have a couple of smash weeks. Yeah.
Good pick, Team 6. Kayshon Boutte was the guy we were looking for.
There you go.
He might just be the number 3 wide receiver for a really good Patriots pass game. Maybe he gets traded. If he gets traded anywhere, he's going to be going a hell of a lot earlier than this. So good picks there.
I'll throw in one more guy just in case. It's a correlation play. I don't think it happens, but is there a chance that he has fantasy relevance this year with LA? I don't know. I threw David Njoku in there. It is the 19th round. I'm not betting on it. I think it's going to be sort of a Rondé Gadsden, and then Kolar and Njoku are sort of like the stylistic guys. But in the round 19,
Michael Mayer, dude.
Mayer's fine. That's a good one too.
Mayer, I just worry. Kolar had 2,100 yards at Iowa State, dude. I wonder if he's just low-key the number 1 tight end for the Chargers.
I know.
It would still be split up, but
it's wild. I mean, the thing is with these tight ends, there's like of these undrafted tight ends, there's going to be 1 or 2 of them that people are like going to the waiver wire and picking up. It happens every year in these. Okay, so we're OTC here. Do you want to
take both kickers? They're not, because Team 12 has a kicker. So I think we let kickers ride. Sure,
unless you want to lock in the free look kicker just to have a little extra edge, because if that game trends towards Eddie Pinheiro, then we leave him in. If not, we cut him and we adjust it with somebody else. I'll just throw that out there. The tight ends will be there because all these guys are like lower ranked guys.
Okay.
So I think you take your kicker of choice. If you want Pinheiro, take him. If you prefer Jake Bates, I think that gets us access to a really good offense in Detroit. And I think Bates with all the indoor games, and I think he's just straight up good.
Jake Bates, come on down. They really don't have a true, likely problematic outdoor game until week 17, which I know, guys, it sucks it's in week 17, but we got to make it there first. We'll deal with that later. It's like they're at Carolina, they're at Miami. It could rain in Miami, but then after that, it's literally December, in Chicago, week 17, before we really do have to worry about it. Pretty nice.
I threw one free look guy in the queue that was good last year, and similar bet that a lot of these free look guys have, but I've been taking him in round 20 as like my preferred free look guy. Does he have a 2 touchdown game? Guy caught a lot of touchdowns last year, Ian.
I was doing a study on the just guys being drafted outside the top 200 on Underdog who scored the most touchdowns last year. And Mr. Colby Parkinson, well ahead of everyone else. It was Colby Parkinson, Kareem Hunt, free agent Kareem Hunt, and then everyone else. So I don't know that we're ever going to feel it is a free look guy. The other thing is Michael Mayer might be if there is a handcuffed tight end in fantasy football, it's Michael Mayer.
Yeah, and also could it be that we're like trying to figure out who's the wide receiver in Vegas, and
Yeah.
I think Trey Tucker makes a lot of sense in like a Shaheed role. Jalen Naylor, obviously they gave a lot of money to, and I think that makes sense. But can Mayer be viable in FFPC? Could he be like the tight end 18 this year with Bowers being the tight end 1, and they're just in
Hey,
heavy 12 all the time, and Mayer's just good. So go ahead and take
sold
Mayer
me.
if you have conviction.
Let's go. Love me some Michael Mayer. All-time leader is not particularly close in Notre Dame history in receiving errors and touchdowns. So I know it hasn't exactly gone great for the guy yet, but I still do believe. And yeah, man, Chicago and the Raiders, the more and more I look at that wide receiver 3 spot, it's just like, yeah, why wouldn't they just be running 12 personnel far more snaps than not? So Phil Maffa Hive, stand up, going right after that. Theo, we are officially 20 rounds up and 20 rounds down, though. Again, got our quarterback here. Team 10, the Fighting Chip Skylark. Shout out to any Fairly Odd Parents fans out there for getting that reference. But Justin Herbert there at the end of round 9, Jordan Love later in round 15, and just, love us some Justin Herbert, guys, but this really, really is the year to wait at quarterback as long as you really want to. Saquon Barkley, hero RB in the round 2. Rashad White, Blake Corum, Keaton Mitchell, Brian Robinson, Kalen Black, and Kamani Vidal, cornering that Chargers handcuff situation behind Omari Hampton. At wide receiver, we got Justin Jefferson, Jalen Waddle, and Christian Watson inside the first 5 rounds. Waited for a bit there. We got Rashid Shaheed and Stephon Diggs later. Close things out with Zachariah Branch, maybe, just maybe, the Falcons wide receiver 2. And in a tight end premium league, we wanted to be strong at that position, and we accordingly are. Tyler Warren in round 3, Sam Laporta in round 6, Michael Mayer in round 20. So, Theo, before we get out of here, I just want to ask you, favorite pick, and then maybe a pick where, I'm not saying you hated it, but if you could go back, maybe you do something different.
Favorite pick here, it's probably the conviction that we had on the Mitchell and Shaheed picks, where we were able to get back a little bit of running back value, and then we were able to find our wide receiver 4. Took both guys a little bit ahead of ADP, and I like the way that ran out for us. It's structurally, it's a good team. We need Waddle and Warren to be very good. We need Saquon to be somewhere closer to 2024 Saquon than 2025 Saquon for this team to smash, and obviously a Jefferson bounce back. So I don't mind it. I think Team 8 did a lot of really good things in this draft too.
I would say, again, just seeing these quarterbacks, and we freaking talked about it multiple times, but didn't necessarily need to go after Herbert, particularly after, our Quentin Johnson stack fell apart a pick before that. A little bit more in hindsight, but you know what? It's tough to say hindsight when we kind of knew it was going to happen there. At the same time, I do freaking love Justin Herbert. I honestly think he could finish, maybe not overall QB1, but definitely top 3. So if we were going to go a little bit off the script, I don't mind doing it for a guy I truly do feel good about. Pick, I would really say I like. I'm with you. I think Shaheed and then even Diggs afterwards, man. That was a situation of the draft where I don't think we fell behind wide receiver. We're going to be flexing Laporta. We have these 3 guys. Like, it's not like we were staring at an open roster spot wondering what to do or anything like that. But Shaheed and Diggs, especially given, some of these dudes that were going the last 3 rounds, I really don't think they're all that different from some of those options in their, best case scenarios. So all in all, feeling pretty good, Theo. Pleasure drafting with you, my man.
Yeah, let's go win some money.
Let's go win some money. If you guys want to follow us along trying to do so, again, code Ian20 to go ahead and get 20% off any RotoWire subscription. We would appreciate the support. You can check that out in the description of this very video. Code Ian if you are trying to get in those FFPC streets, get you a nice discount as well. I will be back in these FFPC streets with my friend Rich Rebar drafting a baby gorilla on Tuesday, so keep an eye out for that. If you enjoyed the content, and if you enjoyed the content, please hit that like button and maybe, just maybe, subscribe as well. Looking forward to bringing you guys all sorts of fantasy goodness the rest of this off season and throughout the season. So thank you all as always. Make sure you guys follow all of Theo's great work as well. One banger after another on the RotoWire Fantasy Football channel. And just, best of luck going out there winning your own drafts, everyone. So again, for Theo, I'm Ian. Thanks again. Until next time, take care, everybody.